It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth analysis of all the issues around expansion, both economic and non-economic. A lot of analysis still needs to be done, and nothing's been predetermined one way or the other, and without any specific timeline. I mean, we're going to be as thorough as possible and look at all the potential issues.
That's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Now, I know you want to say, blah, 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 you're going to Seattle and Las Vegas. All right, they probably are going to Seattle and Las Vegas. I'll put Seattle at 95% and Vegas at 90%. Now, they got to find owners for those markets, because the one thing where Adam Silver is deadly serious, we've got to study this, because you got to make those owners money. You are commissioner for we'll call you the commissioner, and you've got to, suspend players and discipline players and award trophies and all that. But 95% of your job is to make the owners more money. So how is this going to make them more money? Yep, when they raise their hands and they vote yes, they get a big old check, right? What do you think, $2 billion, Yak? Oh. Now the Lakers are gone for 10. Might have to raise that number.
$2 billion's on the low end. I've heard
they got to study that and make sure that because you know what they don't do? Give away expansion franchises on the low end.
Well, and I've heard somewhere around 5 could be the kind of entry point.
I believe it now, because there's that big fight. As I just think about this, there's that big fight over the Timberwolves, right, with A-Rod's group, and what's the entry price, and they got in for the lower one, and it was just under 2, so you're right.
But they also had to sue.
2's way low. I retract that, Your Honor.
They had to sue to get that lower price, too. So
they had armies. They had lawyers lined up 100 deep.
Yeah, he talked also, if you look at the expanded comments during kind of that it was at 2 minutes, I think he was talking about expansion. He's talking about, hey, we're selling equity in this league.
Yeah, 100%.
And so we're not going to lowball ourselves.
So the thing that's changed that they'll study is they used to make some money off the network TV, and they used to make money off local TV. Now they make a lot of money off those 3. I don't even know if we can call them network, because now you got a streaming package in there. But there's 3 national TV rights holders, and they make, we've talked about it, there's $76 billion, which I think if you do the math out is more than $200 million per team per year. And so you're sharing that. It used to be these new teams that come in and generate a lot of the money on local TV. Well, that didn't come out of your pocket. They could just make their money and that was fine. Well, that's not happening. The sports regionals are breaking down left and right. I think the best model right now is local TV and a local streaming service, and it's the model the Jazz have and a few other teams have it. That's the one that reaches the most fans and will help you grow the game, but it's not going to pay the bills. I mean, there's money in it, but there used to be home runs in local TV. There used to be gravy trains full of money. Well, those tracks have been pulled up, and there are no gravy trains full of money anymore. Now, you can get out there, you can get hits, if I can mix my metaphors. There's singles and doubles to be had. But tape measure home runs, yeah, good luck with that. The network TV, that's the tape measure home run there. So they do have to figure out how they're going to share it. I think they are going to expand. But how much money can they charge? And how much are they going to cost themselves? Because now you're going to divvy up that network TV money 32 ways instead of 30. Meanwhile, back on the court, hey, look, the Utah Jazz are going to play tonight. They're going to play the Washington Wizards. Could this be the Ace Bailey grudge game? You wanted him. We got him. Tip off at 8 on ESPN.
It's a storyline if he plays.
I was going to say it could be a storyline. It was a storyline when they set the schedule, but now not so much.
We also do know that they will wrap up Summer League play Friday against the Bulls. They announced that's in the consolation round.
And that will be that. Well, we've seen about enough if they're not going to let these other players play, right? What have we learned? Lessons? Cody Williams is a little bigger, weighs a little more, needs to be a little bigger and a little stronger and weigh a little more than this.
Kyle Filipowski's way too good for Summer League.
Right. Am I getting too excited? Am I getting out of control?
The problem is I'm concerned about his defense. Who does he guard on the other end?
I don't know. Outscore him.
But
that's a pretty entertaining style of basketball. And put a shot blocker behind him. Put a shot blocker behind him and tell him, get up on that guy, take away the three-point shot. Try to stay in front of him, beat you off the dribble. You got Rudy Gobert behind.
You got Walker Kessler.
You got Walker Kessler.
Maybe.
How do you get a second athletic 7-footer out on the court? Bukowski can move a little bit. I'm talking about athletic. ATH-A-. Okay, you got it. Wizards tonight at 8 o'clock. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I've been pretty frustrated, I'm not going to lie. Everything that has transpired up to this point has been disappointing and frustrating. I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. This has been somewhere where I've always wanted to be.
That is Terry McLaurin on his contract status. Now, McLaurin, you could be frustrated right now. You know, he's 29. He's had some decent years there in Washington. Now suddenly he's got a great quarterback. He's got a chance to put up massive numbers, and he's done 5 1,000-yard seasons in a row. But really big. He had 13 touchdowns last year, and that's the first time he's been in double digits. He was there for all the dysfunction, all the losing, all the craziness, all the wackiness. But got to get paid pretty soon because you're a wide receiver and you're 29, and exactly how long is this going to last? Now, 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, he's not slipping, but now is the time. This will be much yelling and banging of drums, and then he'll get paid, right, Yuck? That's how this works out.
Sure feels that way. This is no longer the Dan Snyder Commanders. I think they're smart enough to realize, hey, this guy's good. We should pay him.
Yeah, 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. Might want to help your quarterback out and bring him back in. But be careful. Get a little excited. Give away all that money. I mean, we hear it from Bill Armstrong with the Mammoth. Hey, you got money, but there is a cap, and you got to have enough for the rest of the team. So it depends on how crazy his demands are. A day after giving Garrett Wilson a big money extension, the Jets are back at it, giving standout cornerback Sauce Gardner a 4-year, $120.4 million contract extension that includes $85 million. Now, the difference here is the Jets are paying veteran quarterbacks. Now, they're not paying expensive veteran quarterbacks. Washington's got a guy on a rookie deal, so there's a little more money to be had, right? Once your quarterback bellies up to the bar, as we just saw in San Francisco, and you pay him $50 million plus, well, now you don't have as much money for everybody else. Chiefs made guard Trey Smith the highest paid interior offensive lineman in league history with a 4-year, $94 million deal that includes a record $70 million guaranteed. They got to fix the O-line. If he's really good, great, and put 4 guys next to him. They've lost 2 Super Bowls because their offensive line wasn't good enough. Now they've got 3, and that's awesome. But the thought they could have 5, 1 year was injuries. There's nothing they could do about it. They got ravaged in the AFC playoffs, and they did not have anything close to a healthy offensive line to go up against Tom Brady and the Bucs. But last year, the line was definitely slipping. Art Monk, they're going to retire the number 81. Man, that tells you right there how messed up Washington was under previous ownership. Art Monk was the man. PK grew up in Jersey and right in the middle of the NFC East and all those. I didn't. I grew up in San Diego on the other coast rooting for a team in the other conference. And I knew Art Monk was the man. It was completely obvious. About time, Washington. Anybody who was at a club that long and played that well, come on. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
You know, I'm not really in the business of, this is going to sound mean, but like caring what other people think. But, you know, I'm grateful that y'all think that, but I've only played, 2 games, so I got a lot to prove. I don't know. We got a bunch of famous people in Austin. We got McConaughey rolling around, so I'm in his shadow.
Arch Manning doing the aw shucks thing and doing it pretty well. And he's right. He only has played a couple games, and there's just been a ton of hype for him. So he's right. It is weird, and he hasn't deserved any of it. So he just tries to play along and play ball, which is really the only way to. There's no reason to fight all that public sentiment and social media and all that if they decide you're great or whatever. He's right. He hasn't done anything in the SEC. And after McConaughey and the governor, who's more famous in Austin? Sarkeesian, maybe? Yeah. Archer's 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's right. He's only played a couple of games. Mediation between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West failed after the two conferences failed to reach a settlement agreement over $55 million in poaching fees and then that take the matter to court. Man, Utah State's in court a lot. We got Scotty G on 9 o'clock. We'll talk to him about that. You're in court with 3 employees, a former AD, a former assistant AD, a football coach. They got the mediation here. We could talk to the president and the athletic director about it, but they've left. They need to figure out a way not to write all those checks. Maybe that's why mediation failed. That's a lot of money. Vanderbilt coach Clark Alea said he and his staff sought the insight of Colorado Buffaloes coach Deion Sanders as to how to manage two-way players with the Commodores defensive back Martel Height poised to expand his role for Vandy this fall and contribute on offense, a la Travis Hunter for the Buffs. Okay, that's two different things. Playing every down. Travis Hunter plays every down. That's crazy. And apparently he's the unicorn and he can do it, and that's unbelievable.
This feels more like an Eric Weddle situation.
Exactly. And that makes more sense to me, and I'm a little surprised it doesn't happen more often. When you get someone who's an excellent athlete, putting him on the other side of the ball for 8, 10, 12 snaps a game, that makes sense to me. Get your best players on the field.
Even though Travis Hunter played every snap, I think he's kind of reinvigorated that whole idea of, if you have an elite athlete.
Yeah, getting coaches to think outside the box. I can see that.
Well, so BYU had this kid, McCabe Madsen, last year, who's a late addition to the 2025 class. There's some thought that he may play both linebacker and running back for BYU down the line.
But how many snaps at running back?
But that's the thing is,
right?
Which one you're primarily playing at, and what can you contribute on the other side of the ball?
When you said linebacker first, I assume linebacker first, and they've got a long history of good linebackers.
Correct.
And getting him in there. So he's this year?
So he's part of the 2025 class, but much like BYU,
he won't
guys,
be here.
He's going on a mission.
Oh.
So, see you in 2027, bud.
All right, never mind. Everything I was going to say, never mind. DJ PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Schwarber in the air to center field, headed towards the wall, and to dead center. That's huge for the National League. They're within 1. So there you go. You said if he could get it on his first swing, and he did. Schwarber's in the All-Star game. Tied at 3.
That's MVP material if he gets the third one right here.
AL rallied in the game. NL has rallied in the swing. With the hat trick. Look out, Chop House. National League takes the lead 4-3. Last chance coming. Down to this swing for the American League. Can Aranda force Alonso? Aranda slices a fly ball to left center field, headed towards the wall, but short, and the National League wins it in the first swing off.
As some of the players said afterwards, I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, you heard some of them that were actually participating in the swing off like, hold on, what?
I didn't want to call any player out because I don't know how many players didn't know. Well, but plenty of players didn't know.
Stowers, the Marlins kid who was their first one up for the NL, he's like, well, I just learned I'm going to be up, and I didn't know this is a thing, so here we go, and okay.
Who participates? The guys who haven't already gotten a car and gone to the airport?
Well, that's the thing is, Tarek Skubal, he was in street clothes. He'd come back out to watch the swing off happen. But yeah, some of the guys may have already been on their way home to wherever they were going.
National League wins the All-Star game after they go 6-6 for 9 innings. They have a swing off in a little mini home run derby. And they win for just the second time in the last 13 years. The All-Star game exists in a weird land. It has in many ways outlived its usefulness. But on the other hand, it's popular and it makes money. So now what do? People like it. Yeah, well, don't have my pitcher go out there and wreck his arm. Why didn't they go extra innings? And no more pitchers. They don't want to put 40 pitchers on the roster.
Correct.
They don't want to have the bullpen and the dugout too crowded. And at the same time, nobody wants their pitcher going out there and having 3 extra innings and having this turn into some 12, 13 inning thing.
And mind you, some people think that like MLB is geniuses for coming up with this swing off deal. Here's the deal. the Pioneer League, Ogden Raptors are part of it, has been doing this for at least 3 or 4 years now. With games that go.
Well, Major League Baseball had the rule in place for the swing-offs in 2022.
Sure.
They just haven't had a tie game.
Correct.
And because of that, people don't know.
Yeah, but it's not all that novel. It's just the first time it happened in the Midsummer Classic, as they say.
Tampa Bay Rays will play potential postseason games at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, setting up the possibility of a World Series staged in a minor league stadium with a capacity of 10,046 people. They discussed the possibility of relocating for the postseason, decided against it. What are they going to do, go to Miami or Atlanta and play in an empty stadium?
There was some thought.
That would look weird.
Yeah.
How do you fill a stadium that far away?
Correct. So they're just... Now, do I expect the Rays to be in the World Series? Not particularly, but they are on
You never
track
know.
for
Crazier
the
things have
playoffs.
happened. Arizona had an 84-win team. They got hot. And So you don't know. They might. I mean, that's not their history. They're like the Oakland A's. They play money ball. They are excellent at it. But as smart as you are, you're going to run into somebody else who's smart and put together a good roster, and they put it together with a lot of money. So that ends up being a problem. Rob Manfred, MLB Commissioner and Players Union head Tony Clark said plans are moving ahead to explore the possibility of using major leaguers in the 2028 Olympics. An extended Major League Baseball All-Star break to accommodate players in the Olympic tournament format, which I think would be great for the game. It would open up the players for drug testing.
You'd have to move the All-Star break back later because these games are supposed to start in August.
Yes, all of these things are true. And nonetheless, the exposure for a game they want to grow internationally would be huge.
Well, there's a reason why the NHL guys are going back to the Olympics next year.
Because the chance to grow the game internationally is huge. There is so much money to be made. And baseball, while not a global game in the way basketball is or soccer is much more international than football. And I think it's probably as international or maybe a little more than hockey.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, hockey's confined to Northern Europe largely by weather.
Yeah, but to your point, we're watching the NFL try and get this flag football thing going so they can expand their thing. MLB's over here like, hey, you're not stealing our thunder.
Oh, they've got legit teams all over the place, right? And when you use the rule where, depending on your grandparent, we'll see Americans who are in the major leagues, and you think of them as American because they grew up in Missouri or Florida or wherever.
Lars Nootbaar, that's a European name all the way. Who does he play for? Japan.
Grandparent. Track down your grandparents. You might be eligible in another country. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Real Salt Lake. 4 straight unbeaten, 3 wins. And they did have 1 draw, so 10 points out of the last 12. The dirty little secret and all that is they played 5 games in a row against bad teams. Teams well below the playoff line. Now they play a good team. Portland, well above the playoff line. This is much tougher competition than RSL's faced in their last 5 games. And they had a loss to the Galaxy in L.A. before they got on this streak. So, interesting test tonight. Both teams playing midweek. It's the middle game of 3 games in 8 days for both teams. So, there's going to be some squad rotation. What does that look like? RSL's got suspensions to deal with. Mecanelli isn't cleared to start. Ojeda has been suspended. Yellow card accumulation. So, what's the lineup going to look like? Probably Hidalgo in it right back, and they'll probably have to move Caliscan, who's been playing great at right back, and move him back to defensive midfield where he was playing last year. So, piece it together, figure it out. Maybe Johnny Russell, who didn't play Saturday, got a couple goals. We haven't seen him combine with Diego Luna yet. That could be interesting. Maybe he's into the starting lineup and you rotate somebody else out. You'll hear the game tonight right here on The Zone, RSL and the Portland Timbers. Portland coming in off a 2-1 loss to St. Louis. So, good team, but struggling a little bit lately. Didn't look good in St. Louis on the weekend. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
I love the guys in there, great group. I don't think that's going to be the answer, though. I don't think we're going to agree on anything. I spoke to the coaching staff and management, and I think we're going to go in a different direction.
That was Michael Carcone's exit interview about him and the Utah Mammoth. And yesterday, the news, Michael Carcone, 1-year deal, $775,000. So, here he is. You never know. What was the market for like for him around the league? 29 years old.
Not as robust as he thought.
Yeah. Well, bring him on back for one more year. Carcone's a fun name to say. Sounds good on a broadcast. Carcone. Hey, shoots, he scores. DJ and PK, that's what's trending. It's brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up at 7:30, Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today, will join us. 8 o'clock, Brian Taylor, host of Real Golf Radio on the Open Championship. 9 o'clock, Scotty G, host of Hands and Scotty, talking Mountain West football from the Mountain West Conference Media Days, and he's there for a couple days. He's obviously the radio voice of Utah State. He didn't know much about the team last time we talked to him because Bronco had everyone locked out. I wonder what the average turnover is for a Mountain West Conference football team. And Scotty can figure it out in the next couple of days. Like 50, 60 players. You get rid of the players who aren't good enough, but the players who are good are all off to Power 4 leagues and more money, and so you're rebuilding most of the roster. We'll talk with Scotty G at 9 o'clock. Peter Bukowski, we started a little tour around the NFL. We'll talk to him about Jordan Love, the Packers, and the NFC North, which was right there with the AFC West as just an excellent division. Best division in football, but can they repeat? Can the Bears make them even better? We'll talk with Peter next, right here on The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Joining us on the program right now, he is 33-year-old defenseman Nate Schmidt.
Growing up in Minnesota, it had to be your dream to win a Stanley Cup, and now that dream is a reality. What was it like for you, and have you had a chance to kind of soak that in, spend some time with it? I don't know what your plan was or if you've had that chance yet.
You sleep in the bed next to it. That's what you do, right?
Yeah. No, you know what? It was everything I had hoped and dreamed it would be. I would say this more than anything. Once you've tasted it, it's intoxicating. It's euphoric feeling. I have to have that again. It's not just about, it's everybody that's ever helped you along. It's your parents, your family, everybody. It's all of that. It's not just you. It was, I have a 2-year-old son and another baby on the way. Like it's for him. It's being able to share with people that, mean the most to you, and forever a bond with a city. That really does mean a lot.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Hans and Scotty Friday from noon to 3 at Mooyah Burgers, Fries and Shakes at 9710 State Street in Sandy. It's your new favorite burger place. We're joined now by Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. He is here to talk all things NFC North as we get ready for NFL camps to open. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
It is going well, Peter. And Peter, I am here to tell you, there have always been Packer fans in Utah. They are on TV here a lot. But putting Jordan Love there, a guy who Aggie fans obviously love, and Utah and Cougar fans can't find a reason to hate, that's seriously, that's a major accomplishment for Jordan Love. And if you ever talk to him about it, he'd be like, well, yeah, it is an accomplishment, actually. If he's honest with you, it is an accomplishment. It's hard to do. So
I feel like I have to ask him about it now.
Yeah. We watched them quite a bit here, and that division was really good. But in a weird way, do you feel like, as good as the division is, things set up well for the Packers this year?
I think the Pack has come back wow, I didn't even mean that.
Nice.
But I think the Pack has come back to the Pack in this case. We have to go with it now, right? So because the Lions, the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn can't be overstated. I think what Aaron Glenn in particular did with that defense last year was remarkable. Without a lot of high-end talent after Aiden Hutchinson went down, I think I was not always as impressed with him as maybe some other people were until last year. Last year really changed things for me, and Ben Johnson has been impressive since he took over the reins there. It's one thing to, and we see this around the league, we see this in college, we see this all over. Just because you know the scheme, just because you know the playbook as a coach, doesn't mean you can recreate what a great coach can do. Game planning, play sequencing, feel for the game, all that stuff. Ben Johnson was an elite offensive coordinator and elite offensive coach. I don't think you can just assume the Lions are going to be as good. Now, how much of that transfers to the Bears, I think, is a real question. They were a 5-win team last year. I still think the Packers are a more talented team. They're a more cohesive team. I think they're a better team. And then the Vikings, they have this kind of fluky, all-time great in a supposed to be a gap year kind of season. I don't expect them to be anywhere near 14 wins again this year. I know they made some defensive improvements, but J.J. McCarthy is a never-ever. Like, rookie quarterbacks, even good ones, are going to struggle to get to 10, 11 wins. And so I just, in this division with their schedule, I don't see it. I think the Packers set up right now as either the best or second best team. I think there's a 1A, 1B with the Lions and the Packers right now in the NFC. And I'm not sure I would have been able to say that last year going into the year.
The Lions with 15 wins and Minnesota with 14. Yeah. Those kinds of seasons, most teams don't stack those back-to-back. Mahomes has had 14 wins or more 3 times. He's never done it back-to-back. So if he's not doing it back-to-back, then you feel like the stars have to align. You have to be healthy. You have to win close games. So the Lions and Vikings have to come back to the pack, especially the Vikings with a quarterback change. Now, could the Packers peak? When you look at 6 losses last year, do you see how they fundamentally altered the team and that's going to make them better? Or do you see games where they were a little unlucky and maybe things break their way?
I think luck was definitely a part of it. There were some inconsistencies. So the things that cost them the games that they lost last year, which, by the way, they lost 6 games, all to playoff teams, 5 in their division, 1 to the Eagles on an ice rink in Brazil in week 1. That field was an absolute disaster, if you may recall. Guys slipping all over the place. And that was, they had the possession with the ball late with a chance to go win the game. That was true in the Lions game. They couldn't get one stop at the end of the Lions game. So they had their opportunities to win these games. They needed one stop against the Vikings in Minnesota late in the season and couldn't get it. They had these inconsistencies in these big games where they play this egalitarian style of offense. The ball finds energy. It's very Golden State Warriors-y in that you're going to move the ball. Everyone's going to get theirs, and it's going to be part of this whole where the sum of your parts, it's just going to be greater than each individual piece, right? So against the best teams, that wasn't good enough, and the inconsistencies cropped up. They had 4 or 5 drops just on 3rd down in that first Lions game in the rain. Jordan Love last year, 9% drop rate. Well, Jared Goff had a drop rate below 2. That's the difference between the Packers and the Lions last year. If the Packers drop balls even at a league average rate, I think they win 12 games last year. Maybe their seeding doesn't change that much because of the way NFL, playoff seeding works, but they're a better team, and I think they have a better chance to win. You look at the playoff game, though. Okay, Christian Watson tears his ACL in the last week of the season, and you have Jaden Reed leave that game, Romeo Doubs leave that game. Then you're trying to beat the Super Bowl champs with Malik Heath and Bo Melton and Dontavian Wicks. Like, that's just not going to be good enough. That's luck. That's bad luck, and that's what happened to them in the Bears game too. They lost that game at the end of the season against the Bears. Malik Willis played half that game. Christian Watson tears his ACL in that game. So you're looking at some luck that contributed to the losing here too.
Is Justin Jefferson so good he's going to make a rookie quarterback look better than rookie quarterbacks normally look? And should we think of him as a rookie quarterback because McCarthy was hurt, but he was, able to sit there and watch film with the coaches and have a headset on during the game and know what's going on, which, Mahomes broke out his second year, and a lot of people think the first year really primed him for that. I don't want to tell every rookie, okay, you have to be Patrick Mahomes now, because that's just a stupid thing to do. But nonetheless, you can learn without playing. Andy Reid thinks Mahomes learned without playing. So how much did JJ learn without playing, and how much does he get to lean on Jefferson?
I think one of the big differences there, and not to like go too far down the rabbit hole in this comparison, but I believe the stat is Mahomes had more attempts in just his last year in college than McCarthy did in his career at Michigan. Mm-hmm. So I think part of that is we've never seen J.J. McCarthy asked to be the guy. And you look at last year, they asked Sam Darnold to be the guy. So he was able to do it, but it wasn't like that offense was incredible. You look at, adjusting for schedule, their efficiency was not top 5, top 8, top 10. And part of that is because the run game was inconsistent. So I think they're going to be dangerous. I think Kevin O'Connell is a hell of a coach. But your question, can Justin Jefferson single-handedly make a rookie quarterback a passable NFL quarterback? I kind of think the answer is yes. I think he is that good. I think we look at the Bengals a couple of years ago, right? Joe Burrow goes down. Jake Browning comes in. They go 4-3 with Jake Browning, and he looks like, a guy who could throw for 4,000 yards if he was given a full season in that offense. I think the weapons and the infrastructure are just so important to a young quarterback's development. Look at Dak Prescott that rookie season. When he's got Des Bryant and Ezekiel Elliott and this great infrastructure around him, he thrived. I think McCarthy can do that. The question is going to be in a game late against the Packers, against the Lions, against the Eagles, against the Rams or the 49ers. Can he make enough plays in the fourth quarter when it has to be him? Maybe Justin Jefferson is hurt or is getting double teamed or, is dealing with an illness. Can he make those plays? Because I don't think we've ever seen really a receiver carry a mediocre quarterback through the postseason into real contention. I just don't think we've seen that.
One reason that there were 3 teams with double-digit wins in the NFC North last year is because the Bears were that bad. They were a 5-12 team. The Green Bay game you reference is the only division game they won. So everybody else can just load up on the wins. Now, they did lose a lot of close games. Yeah. 7 games by 6 points or less. I mean, they were right there, and they just couldn't do it. Do you think it'll be different with Caleb Williams now with a year under his belt? That what you talk about, the ability to make one big play in the fourth quarter when your team needs it. And most of the losses were low-scoring games. I mean, 20-19 to the Packers, 23-20 to Detroit, 6-3 to Seattle, 19-13 to Houston. There's a bunch of low-scoring games, and there's like one more play.
Yeah, I think part of that, though, is that was a poorly coached team. And that's what happens when you're a poorly coached team. It does take some luck. But you look at all the underlying metrics for that team, they were a bad team. Like, they were a 5-loss team. It's not like they were some secretly solid team that was losing all these games. No, they were losing those games because they were an inconsistent football team. They botched end-of-game situations. Like, that Lions game that everyone watched on national TV where Caleb Williams doesn't seem to know time and score, it was just like, well, that's a rookie quarterback, but your coach has to be on that. So yes, your quarterback needs to too, but that's coaching. You have to be prepared for those situations, and they just weren't. You have to think Ben Johnson is going to have them more prepared, but how quickly can you take hold of something like that? Do they have enough talent for something like that? Does the defense, if Jalen Johnson misses 6 weeks, what does that passing defense look like? If offensively, if you don't get something, if Roma Dunze doesn't take a step forward, if Luther Burden can't be something right away, do you have enough firepower offensively? I don't think you can expect Colson Loveland to come in and be Brock Bowers right away. Most tight ends aren't. It takes these young receivers time. DJ Moore looked like he didn't want to be there most of last year. How much of that is Matt Eberflus? How much of that is Caleb Williams? It seemed like it was partially the quarterback, because he was frustrated with the ball not being where it needed to be on a regular basis. And that starts with a predisposition toward not wanting Caleb Williams in the first place. If you recall 2 years ago, DJ Moore was saying, we don't want Caleb Williams, we want Justin Fields. He wanted to keep the old guy for reasons that, defy God and everyone, to me anyway. But he just was not locked in. Can they get him locked in? This is, unfortunately for them, how bad teams stay bad, because it takes a lot to fix culture. It's more than just a wunderkind coach. They have just been so broken institutionally there for years. I don't know how they pull themselves out of it, frankly.
It takes a lot to be bad. That's what words to live by right there. Peter Bukowski joining us, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. Look at things in the NFC North as the training camps approach here, and we take a tour around the league. So this division was stacked last year, and nonetheless, everybody's talking about Philly. Well, they should. They won the Super Bowl. And everybody's talking about Washington because that was a team that had found a way to get bad and stay bad. And they got new ownership, and they got really good. So, yeah, there are a lot of good teams in the North, but do you feel like those teams are elite teams in the NFC?
I think there is one elite team in the NFC this year, right now, and that's Philly. I think there's too many questions around Detroit, and the Packers have to prove that they belong in that conversation. I said before the season, I guess we're still before the season, right? But I said in the offseason, that if the Packers do end up making a run in the NFC, it will be because of their cohesion, because they're returning their offensive and defensive coordinators. Their offensive core is intact. All of their best skill position players, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, like they're basically the 22 starters essentially are coming back because Jair Alexander didn't play football for the Packers often enough over the last handful of seasons. But yeah, I see one great team, certainly from last year. It was the Lions and the Eagles. I think the Eagles have taken a step back. I think the Lions have taken a step back, but I have to give the edge to the Eagles. I don't see any great teams after that, but this changes so much year to year. Like in October, we might be talking about, a revitalized Caleb Williams. We might be talking about Jordan Love as an MVP candidate. Like the Devontae Adams might look like 2021 Devontae Adams, and the Rams might be 6-0 to start the year. So this can all change quickly, but I think right now Philadelphia is the one team where I go, they're in a tier by themselves, and then everyone else, there's probably 4 or 5 teams right after that vying for whatever's next.
For all fantasy football fans out there, do you like any of the skill position players in the North to break out? Any young people who've been off the radar and you think, get them now, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick, going to play like a 1st or 2nd round pick? Who have you got?
This is the lowest price if you're a redraft guy or you're a best ball guy or girl. Tucker Kraft will never be as cheap as he is right now. I think this is a breakout season coming for Tucker Kraft, the tight end. They have talked all off season about trying to find more ways to get him the ball. Last year, he averaged over 9 yards after the catch per catch. That means every time you throw him the ball, he's basically going to get you a first down by sheer force of will. There were times last year he looked like a young George Kittle. And in the offseason, he spent a lot of time working on his body and working on his technique as a route runner. He wants to be able to get open and win one-on-one against man coverage. The Packers, I think, are going to give him those opportunities. And we've seen in these Shanahan tree offenses how big a role these tight ends can have. Look at George Kittle, for example. I think the Packers are starting to come around on the idea that Tucker Kraft can be that sort of player for them, whether he ever ascends to, George Kittle's maybe a future Hall of Famer, but whether he has that sort of skill set where he can give them everything they're looking for. 3rd and 6, he's your guy. 1st and 10, big play down the field, he's your guy too. I think all that is in front of Tucker Kraft. I think he could have a 70 catch, 850 yard, 10 touchdown type season this year.
All right, there's that tip. All right, last thing before we let you go. There's so much going on in the North, right? So many good teams, so many players, so many storylines. But honestly, in Green Bay, do they still stare at Aaron Rodgers from a distance like some ex that you just can't shake and think, what is he doing now? What is he saying now? Is he throwing a touchdown or a pick?
I think it is very much it is very much conflicted feelings for a lot of fans in Green Bay because I think they relish that he didn't go on to do kind of what Brett Favre did and have this late career run where like he's one throw away from the Super Bowl. But I do think it does hurt fans to see him like this, to see him down as bad as he seems to be right now. The public perception to be as negative of him as it is. But this started late in his Green Bay run. The going on, Pat McAfee show and maybe taking jabs at players and coaches. I think there were a lot of Packer fans that were just ready for that to be over and who relish now Jordan Love, who seems like a very normal guy, a very cool guy, just relaxed. He just got married. The team seems to love him. The organization seems to love him. And while he's not as great a player as Aaron Rodgers, I think right now he is certainly a more likable player. So it's sort of like you're in a long-term relationship. It ends poorly. You kind of wish them well. And to the point that it's kind of sad to see them, to see what's happening to them now, because it is kind of sad.
Peter, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us and talking a little NFC North football.
All right, no problem.
Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. This is a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12 coming up in the 8 o'clock hour is going to win tickets to see The Offspring with special guest Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 6th. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Stick around for that. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of the reasons this is happening, and they're now kowtowing to Luka, is they acquired him in such a weird way. Luka did not want to go to L.A. Luka wanted to be in Dallas his whole life and was surprised to end up in L.A. and may not want to be in L.A. So they are going to do everything they can to make Luka feel like a star. And they do have this issue of like, it's like you're trying to leave your wife for your girlfriend, and Luka's the girlfriend. They're like, don't worry, honey, I'm going to leave her. I'm going to leave LeBron for you.
He was like, I haven't even called her.
Yeah, just like,
I didn't even call her.
Christmas. I'm going to leave her for you. It's going to happen.
That's so funny.
But just like, you got to wait a little bit. Just be cool. Be cool, Luka. I'm going to leave her. And Luka wants the commitment, and LeBron doesn't realize that he's the one being cheated on right now, that they're going to leave.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day today is The Offspring, brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts events in 2025, check out livenation.com, and we'll be giving away tickets to see The Offspring as part of Win Tickets Wednesday coming up in the next hour. I saw the weirdest story out of Las Vegas. Now, how many times has that been said? I got the weirdest story from Las Vegas. Clubs, casinos, late night, booze.
Does this one involve a popular card game?
What?
Does this one involve a popular card game?
No, it does not.
Okay.
This involves one of the last things that I think of when I think of Las Vegas.
Okay, because there's another thing that's happening in Vegas. Is they're bringing Uno tables to casinos.
I have seen that, Uno tables. Hey, if they can get young people to gamble,
yeah, they're on it.
Somebody is like, oh, yeah, I played this as a kid. I'm really good.
I just can't wait for somebody to yell Uno and then to get hit with a +4 and suddenly lose that house payment.
Somebody played a little Uno growing up. I have a niece who went through a phase where she was addicted, so yeah, I got to play some Uno. No, although that is odd. But how about this? Did you hear about Chesstival? Now, as soon as you hear that, like, DJ, what kind of a story is this?
What?
Chesstival.
No.
Yes.
But yes, with that name alone.
Right away, you're like, what kind of a story is this on a family radio station?
Easy.
Get out of the gutter, Yock. I'm tired of you and the way you're always... It's disgusting, Yock. It's a chess tournament. It's called Chesstival. Like festival and chess.
Yeah,
Chesstival.
But Chesstival? They couldn't go Chessival?
So... Yahoo has a story on this. Apparently, there's a radio interview in the Bay Area that kind of. I didn't think this was well publicized. I can't honestly. ESPN would televise this and put this on the Ocho. So they have this chess tournament. NBA players and chess grandmasters partnering. Derrick Rose, the former MVP, and chess grandmaster and current world champion Magnus Carlsen. Hosted it. So what happens is you're in a two-person team. The NBA player is playing chess. The grandmaster is part of the team but can't move the pieces. All the grandmaster, they know the next move, right? They know chess. They call out the piece, and then the player has to figure out the appropriate move. And they have a tournament. It's got enough celebrity in it. If they got the right players in it, hey, everybody's looking for live programming. They were playing for like $25,000. They donated it to charity. And so it ended up the Warrior Center. Quentin Post becomes the NBA chess champion. So how about that? Of all the things in Vegas, during NBA Summer League, hey, Saturday night, let's go watch Chesstival.
You can draw eyeballs, do it. And
Whatever works. It's different.
And Magnus Carlsen, he's kind of transcended chess in a way, but
they call it a headed hand tournament.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
You're standing there. You got the chess grandmaster's got the brain for the game, but the player has to make the moves.
They're calling out the piece, and you got to figure it out.
Got to figure it out. Checkmated Harrison Ingram in the finals. All right. Well, that's kind of odd, but there you go. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Brian Taylor, co-host of Real Golf Radio, joins us. That is next. The Open Championship. We'll run the draft by him and see who he likes. Who did we get right? Who did we get wrong? That's coming up next. Stay with us.